record on this. Okay. And let's go on Facebook. Okay, we are live. Hi, Anthony.
How are you, Doctor?
This is Anthony Jurjevic, our IT sponsor for tech, and owner of Techspedient Networks. I thought it would be a good idea to have a casual conversation about internet security and you know, office technology. And I feel like a lot of dentists don't take this seriously. I hear this, why do I need to do all this? I'm just a small little office, and who wants my data? So I thought this would be a nice conversation. We can hit on a few things, and I know people don't like to watch a lot of long videos, so we'll keep it short. But so let's talk about why my data. My whole take has been that the bigger companies have spent millions of dollars securing their systems. Are they 100% secure? No, but they make it more difficult for the bad guys.
Yes.
So if you guys got a gang of 5 sitting in Ukraine looking to make some money, you know, they're going to hit easy targets. What's an easy target? A dental office in Timbuktu, America, who is still running a Windows 7 on their you know, clients, and then an outdated server. So they lock your data up, and they can make what, $5, $6, $10,000, and that's a nice day for them, right? Is that how you look at it?
Yeah. So first, I want to thank you for having me, you know, on this evening. So I appreciate that. And but yeah, so I hear it a lot too, that, you know, nobody wants my data. We're too small. We're never going to get hit. I hear it all the time. Even clients of ours that we went into after they got hit, you know, because their previous IT wasn't securing them properly, or they didn't have IT, right? And they got hit, and then we went in, and they tell me, I never thought it would happen to us, you know, but it happens every day. Every 11 seconds, there's a ransomware attack, right? Every 11 seconds in the United
Let's show
States.
let's show this map. Let's show this map. I showed it to Anthony. I like this thing. So let me share my screen. Oh, where'd it go? Oh, go ahead, Anthony. You talk first. Let me go find
Sure.
it.
So, you know, I hear it all the time as well. Every time I walk into a dental practice or even a medical practice, you know, they're just as, you know, lax about it. The small, you know, medical practices as well. So, and it kind of, it breaks my heart a little bit, because I know that someday they're going to get hit, and it's just a matter of not if, it's a matter of when it's going to happen to them. And then it's going to cost them a whole lot more money to take care of it and clean it up than it would if they just secured their information and their stuff now. And it's, you know, it's also because, you know, they're remoting in improperly. You know, they may not have like a business grade or an enterprise grade firewall. They might just be using like the router that was provided by the internet service provider, or they bought one that's off the shelf, like a Netgear or Linksys, you know, and those aren't secure enough, because, you know, they're not monitoring, they're not logging anything. All they're doing is, you know, simple pass-throughs. They're not inspecting packets to see if it's something that could compromise the internal network. So that's why an enterprise and a business grade firewall is really important to have in your business, in your practice, right? To protect that data. That's your first line of defense. And
yeah, we're gonna hit on that. Let me show this to people to see what ransomware attack looks like. This is a website that I use for demo, and this is basically you know, Kaspersky. It's a whoa. Here we go. It's a security company, and they monitor traffic on the internet. I mean, everything you see here is you know, different attacks, and you can click on countries and it'll tell you. So this is Ukraine is number 42 most attacked country, and if you want to see where we are number 4, right? Here we go, number 2 most attacked country. So it is very naive of people to think it's not going to happen to us, you know. And you and I know that we have members of my group that have contacted me that have been hurt, anywhere from $10,000 to $120,000, that they wanted to release their data. I look at it as, we used to spend money on yellow pages and on charts and on paper products. We don't anymore. So we have to put that money on what we replaced it with, right?
Correct. Yeah, absolutely. You know, cyber criminals don't care who they're hitting. They basically, everything's automated for them. They've automated all of the attacks. They're not sitting behind a computer, you know, trying to do stuff 24/7. They basically live their life, and then they get an alert when they've gotten a hit, and then they just wait for the Bitcoin to come in. That's basically what, you know, what they do. They're to them, it's a business. They don't care, you know, and what they try to do is they try to take your data off your server or copy it off. So that way, if you don't want to pay the ransom, what they'll do is sell your data in the dark web. I know medical records right now today are going for about $300 to $350 per patient. So it's very lucrative to sell a patient's data on the dark web. It's very lucrative for a cyber criminal to do that. So that's why it's important, and that stuff can get traced back because, you know, the federal government is in the dark web. They're constantly surveilling the dark web. So if they see records or a record dump, you know, that's going to all get traced back to the practice or to that business that belongs to. And the last thing you want is to not report or not do forensics on a ransomware or a breach, and then have the FBI coming knocking on your door saying, hey, there's a records cache that we found on the dark web. Why didn't you report this, you know, to, you know, whether it's HIPAA or through your state, local authorities, right? Because patients' information is valuable, and you know, those people can definitely get, you know, be victims of identity theft. I mean, personally, I was, because my corporate background, I had I used, you know, corporate insurance, Blue Cross Blue Shield. When Anthem got hacked, someone started filing tax returns in my name, and I had gotten letters from the IRS, you know, telling me, hey, you know, we've got multiple returns in your name. What's going on? You know, and my accountant, it took 6 months to fix all of that. You know, so, you know, it took time to get out of that mess. And now, you know, they won't even accept the IRS won't even accept my return unless my accountant provides a 6-digit PIN with my return. So, you know, it's an inconvenience, and it was an inconvenience for 6 months that, you know, my accountant had a battle, you know, to basically say, hey, you know, we're not filing multiple returns. This is obviously an identity theft issue because someone got my records, you know, so through no fault of my own. So it's a serious matter, you know.
Yeah, and I got to tell you, one of my pet peeves about IT companies and security companies, and this is your business, I don't want to step on any toes, but One of my pet peeves are scaring dentists to sell them something. This is not
Yeah.
about that. I don't like to scare people. This is Anthony's profession, but this has also been my hobby for the past 25 years. I mean, I've been to the places that most people should not be, and
Right.
realize what is there for sale. My own information is out there for sale. I have seen it through T-Mobile, Experian hack,
Yep.
Blue Cross hack. It's out there. So once that happens, it's not the end of the world, but there are costs that need to be addressed. You have to pay the ransomware to get your data back. FBI cannot help you. You have to report it to the government. You have to report it to the patients. You have to provide them with one of these, what is it called? The
Credit monitoring service.
credit monitoring thing. Yeah,
Right.
yeah. So there are
Yep.
a lot of steps you have to take. And if you don't do it, then you'll get fined.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely.
yeah, and a lot of IT companies, and you and I have discussed this, I do a lot of this stuff myself, but security is something that it changes every day. I don't have time to keep up.
Right.
I could do it if I quit dentistry, quit this group work and just do security. So that's why I always recommend for security, hire someone, and I hire someone. I
Right.
mean, I do some of the stuff myself, but I have that firewall that you're talking about.
Right.
One of the things I wanted to talk to you about, Anthony, is Anthony and I disagree on a couple of things regarding cloud computing, but it is out there, and it basically, in my opinion, cloud computing can save you up to about 85–90%, but you still need an IT company to help you with that 10%, correct?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, because your data's stored, on the cloud providers, infrastructure or servers, right? But you still need to protect your local practice, because if that gets compromised, someone gets in, then they're one step closer to getting to your data, and all they need is, your username, your password, and then they don't even need to necessarily be in your system anymore. They could pretty much access it from where they are, unless, of course, you're blocking IPs or whatnot, or regions, but that's what they can do. And then they can still ransom you locally, so if you have, your QuickBooks, your financial system on your local machines, they can ransom your QuickBooks file. Then what? Now your QuickBook file is gone, and you're either recovering from backup and whatnot. So it's an inconvenience either way. So protection is still needed, even though you're using cloud services. So, for example, we use cloud internally. How we access our clients is through a cloud platform. CrowdStrike, which is our endpoint protection that we use, is cloud-based. That's how we log into it. Let's see. Our application whitelisting and our anti-ransomware service is all cloud-based. We log in to the cloud, but we secure it. We secure internally. We still run antivirus. We still run our anti-ransomware on all our workstations here. We have a business-grade firewall that's protecting it, fully loaded with the subscription, content filtering, all that, antivirus on that. So we're still secure internally, even though a lot of our stuff is in the cloud. But we also have multi-factor authentication on all of that. Like, I have a zero tolerance policy. Anyone tries to bypass that, they're gone. There's no questions about it. They're just gone from the company. Zero tolerance.
Yeah, and so I'm going to talk about that a little bit, because I want people to get to know you, and why I personally don't trust a lot of ITs, but I trust you, is because the zero tolerance policy. You can't just be a little secure. You have to close all holes. And Windows operating system by design leaves all of the ports which are opening to your computer open, because they want friendlier user interface. So we have to prevent from people getting in. And cloud is great. I do not believe anyone should be, storing their data. Me and you may differ, but storing their data on their own, unless you're spending a lot of good money. But
I mean, I'm a proponent of cloud. I just wish the dental cloud providers
we're
would
better.
enable multi-factor authentication. That's a huge red flag for me, because you're putting the practice at risk. Because look, you're putting the dependency on a complex password. Okay, the way we use passwords as humans, we just do things that are like, staff 1 2 3. I've seen that in dental practices, walking in there, staff 1 2 3 to log into Windows. I mean, that you can't do that. That's like, it takes a hacker 5 seconds to run a program and brute force that password. I mean, literally.
And what Anthony is talking about is brute force, meaning that they fire up a program that guesses your passwords with a very powerful computer, and within 20 minutes, every combination has been tried, and they know that. Once we're done, in the comments of this video, I'll put my my criteria for creating a password, and you and I agree on that. The combination, picking out a sentence and changing some of the letters to numbers. But yeah, I mean, it's just prevention. As dentists, we preach prevention to our patients on a daily basis. But when it comes to computer security, and this, we want convenience, and convenience and security don't go together. I make
Right.
my staff change their password at least once a quarter, and they scream at me. They yell at me. Why do we have to do this? I'm like, because it could be compromised.
Right.
I do some IP limiting for my cloud, because we don't have two-factor authentication. But because of the pandemic, I had to turn it off because people are working from home.
Right, remotely.
Yeah, remotely. So I've been promised that two-factor authentication is coming. But one of the advice I give everyone who would be watching this or is watching now or later on is that even like for QuickBook and Quicken and things like that, push it to the cloud. I know they can still get it, but all of these companies are coming out with cloud versions, which we all think, oh, what another subscription. I know it's a pain, but it is more secure than you. And Anthony, I want you to explain to people how an attack happens. I think a lot of people think somebody sitting in their basement is going to connect to my computer and try to, get good. How does a typical attack on a dental office happen? It's basically user failure.
It is. Yeah, it's basically the way we approach security from our company. The way we approach security for our clients is we protect the user and the device, right? So we protect the user because all of us are human. We make mistakes, right? I make mistakes. We all make mistakes. So it's just the way it is. We're inherently flawed, and we make mistakes. So we protect the human aspect of it, but we also protect the device as well. So it's a combination. The security approach is a combination of the two. And with the way hackers get in, number one way is through a legitimate process like email. Okay, what they'll do is send an attachment. It could look like a resume in a Word document, right? And within that resume, there's malicious software that's embedded in that document. They go to open that file, they enable whatever the macros are, and that's it. Then it installs silently. They don't even know it happened. And within 5 seconds, that device is compromised. So, and the hacker then has control of that device. They can record keystrokes, what the user's typing. So that's how they can generate passwords, the sites that they're going to. They can control the camera and take video screenshots of the user themselves. There's a lot they can do once they have compromised that system. They pretty much have control of it without you knowing about it. And then what they do is try to traverse laterally across the network. So basically, they look for data dumps, right? To see where the data is located. They'll try to maneuver laterally across the network to different computers until they hit the server, if there is a server. And then, then they try to hack into the server. And then from there, once they're in there, they're typically on average in there around 3 months before they go ahead and like deploy a ransomware hit. So because what they want to do is they want to get as much data off that system as they can before they ransom it, because that's their insurance policy if you don't pay the ransom, right?
Right, and that's, I'm going to translate some of this stuff that Anthony said. So, we're all looking for employees, and that's a great example. We get this email, hey, I'm looking for a dental assistant or office manager. Here's my resume. And this is a Word document that, which just drives me crazy with Microsoft. You can embed stuff in there, lines of code that will compromise your computer, and then they'll take over. But it's interesting that, and you mentioned this in the beginning, that all of this is automated. Nobody's sitting there, doing this manually. It's not like the Matrix that they're trying to hack into. They're, they've written a program that does this for them, and at the end of the night, they come back from their, dead end job and say, hey, what did I catch? It's like a net they spread around the world, and then they attack those. And it's not just America; it happens everywhere.
Oh, absolutely, it's worldwide, and even some of these ransomware gangs, they have affiliate programs. So you can become an affiliate, and they'll pay you, up to 50-60% of all of the ransomware hits that you get as an affiliate. It's tiered. I mean, it's a very well-oiled operation, the way some of these cyber criminals operate. They literally operate it better than most businesses. It's just amazing. So
it's $1 billion industry.
It is.
There's a lot of money involved. So if there's money involved, there is going to be people who are very smart and will take advantage of it. And I sound a little passionate about this because I've seen it. I've seen it firsthand. I mean, anyways, we'll talk about that. But so if you, one of the things that Anthony does for dental offices is to be your technology advisor, meaning that you want to buy computers. I have seen $15,000, $20,000 codes that have been given to dentist friends of mine that we need to change your computers. And all your computer may need is a couple of extra chips for increasing RAM, changing your changing the hard drive from the old-fashioned hard drives to these new solid-state hard drives. You can help them do that, right?
Yeah, absolutely. There was a small practice a couple of years ago. He received a proposal to swap out all of his computers. Those computers were 3 years old. They just finished. They were Dells. They were about 3 years old. Their 3-year warranties just ended. I was able to. He called me up. We went in. I went in. I looked over the computers. I said, "Look, you can extend the warranty on these Dells for another 2 years through Dell. Just pay for that extended warranty. You probably just need to up."
Oh, I think we lost Anthony.
For about $16,000 to replace.
Anthony, yeah, we lost you for a couple of seconds.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's okay. You were talking about the extended warranty from Dell.
Yeah, so Dell gives a 3-year standard warranty. You could extend it for another 2 to 3 years beyond that. After the 3 years, and that's where he was at. So We extended it another 2 years because that's all we could do. It needed additional memory because they were running a little bit slow, and we looked at the performance, and memory was kind of the bottleneck. So we added another 8 gigs to each of the systems. It was only 4 systems. It was a small practice, and the previous IT, or his current IT that he was using, they gave him a quote for like $14,000 or $16,000 to replace 4 computers, right? And basically upgrading the warranty and the memory with the labor was like around $2,000 to $3,000, to do that. So I saved him about $10,000 or $12,000, and he's been good since,
Yeah, and Anthony makes fun of me because I kind of, I have these 10-year-old computers and I kind of upgrade. But the point here is that if you can do it yourself, if you have the time and you have the passion, you can do it yourself for cheaper. But again, you need someone that you can trust. And I got to tell you, I wouldn't bring anybody to the group if I didn't trust Anthony. So Anthony, let's talk about and wrap it up with the plan that we're going to have for cloud computing. In other words, cloud is going to, and we'll announce that as far as pricing and things like that goes. The cloud is going to protect your data for your practice. They're going to protect that. And now we're going to come to the office, and I'm going to tell you what I have in my practice, and that is it comes in when data is coming in and out of my practice. It goes through a hardware enterprise level firewall. It is on top of what the cable company gives me. It's not the cable company router, because they say, oh, we have a firewall in here. That doesn't count. And I have subscriptions on this firewall that is filtering information constantly, live filtering. And then I have antivirus and things like that. So tell me what you would do for someone who just switched to a cloud or planning to switch to a cloud, and it's almost like half the price of what you usually charge.
Yeah, because maintaining a server and protecting it, that's really the largest cost, right? To protecting a practice is where the data is, which is on the server. Because you got to back it up, and depending on how quickly they want to recover, a lot of our practices can recover within an hour. If their server crashes, we can have them up within an hour. That usually earlier than that, but I usually say within an hour you can be back up and running, either locally or even in the cloud, because we could spin up virtual machines up in the cloud for them if they needed to. If, let's say, like a building, it was a complete wipeout of a building or whatever, so we would be able to spin those up in the cloud. So yeah, protecting the server is the most expensive part of the IT piece. The workstations, the users, the cost significantly gets lower. So what we include with that is we include the firewall. It's an enterprise grade firewall. It's literally rated. Gartner rates it the #2 firewall. Gartner Research, which is a big research company, and it includes the subscription, which includes the antivirus built into it, web content filtering, DNS filtering as well, which is basically prevents you. So if you ever type the wrong character when you're typing a URL for a website, and there are a lot of cyber criminals that are smart where they try to put, they register a domain that's similar to a legitimate website, like let's say CNN, right? They'll put CNNC.com because, if someone types it, incorrectly, or CNN or something like that, it'll go to their site and it'll automatically start to download stuff onto their system, right? So that's what the firewall protects. It protects the user from accidentally going to a bad website, right? So that's really the first layer of protection. And then from there, we also then we monitor that. We pull the logs from those firewalls, and we push it to our SIM, which is basically an event management log system that we use. And we have people that review those logs. So if they see something unusual, we're going to be alerted to that. And then from the endpoint standpoint, we install our endpoint protection, which is our antivirus. It's the antivirus we use is called CrowdStrike. You can't buy it off the shelf. You really have to partner with them. They have minimums of how many computers you need to install it on before they'll even look at you. And what they include with their software is also a 24/7 security operations center. So they're monitoring everything that's happening, like packet-wise. So if they see any abnormalities, they also alert us to that, where we could take action, and they could even take action and like literally take that computer off the network if it's been compromised, so that it doesn't affect other devices on the network. So that's one of the things. We also have an an anti-ransomware product or service that we use, which basically it's more of a zero trust approach. It doesn't, it basically monitors, we let it sit there for about 2 to 3 weeks, let it monitor the systems, the applications that the users are using, and then we lock it down. So that way, any other applications that try to run besides what they're normally running will get blocked. Now, if it's a legitimate new application that they want to install, they just simply will get a prompt. They can request an approval for it, and our team will look at it and approve it. Usually, if it's legitimate, within a couple of minutes, it'll get approved, and then they can, do the install from there.
So you basically are controlling what comes in and what goes out.
Not just controlling it, but monitoring it.
Yes.
And actually looking at it. So, and that's where a lot of IT providers, what they aren't doing, they'll put the tools in, right? They'll put the antivirus in, but then nobody's watching it, right? It's just sitting there. So, if you're not looking at the logs and you're not exporting those logs, and then, there's no point in having those tools, because, nothing's 100%. Stuff can still get through. So if you don't have anyone watching things, there's no point in basically, those tools help a little bit, but you still need somebody watching those logs and making sure that there are no abnormalities,
Yeah. I have something else to talk about that I kind of get into discussions with some dentists that in the group and on other groups, and they're all like, I don't care. I have great backup and I'm going to restore from that. And then maybe you may have a great backup if you are doing the 32110, which the 0 is important, which means you have verified that backup is clean,
right.
And you store that clean backup on a regular basis. Things that Anthony and I have seen is that these people will sit with an infected computer without doing anything until you're rolling backup changes to the infected ones. Correct?
Yes. Correct.
So if you're waiting 3 months, no backup company is gonna keep your data 3 months or 4 months or 6 months even.
Well, we do. We keep
How long?
We keep infinite. We could do infinite or a year or up to 7 years.
But it costs money.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Storage is the most expensive piece.
I mean, if you're not going to use a rolling backup, 7 years is nice. I like that, but that's probably going to cost what, $500 a month?
Yeah, easily.
Yeah.
I mean, because the storage is going to cost. That's where the costs are in the storage, right?
So having a nice backup is great, but it's not a solution. You can't just say, I'm going to rely on it. What if your backup is also infected, which in many cases of these ransomware, they're very smart these days.
They are. They'll try to they'll try to destroy the backups before they ransom. I've seen it done where they've destroyed the backups and then they've hit the ransom, deployed the ransomware, and they have nothing to recover from. So now it's checkmate. They've got you. You've got to pay. But even if they didn't do that, to simply just restore, the first step I would do, I wouldn't touch anything. I would take everything off the network, like off the internet, like just go dark, right? Unplug everything from the internet. And then I would call your insurance company if you have cyber insurance, to let them know what happened, because they're going to be able to help you, do forensics, because it's important to do forensics if something happens. You can't just pretend, oh, I got hit with ransomware, we're going to wipe everything and restore, and that's it. Because you don't know if those cyber criminals grabbed your data and copied it off. Forensics will show that, yes or no. And that's why it's important to do forensics, because really you don't want that to come back on you if they actually did take your data. I'm not trying to scare anyone. I'm just telling you that you really should do forensics if something did happen, because it protects you from potential, larger fines if you don't do it and it comes back to hit you, right? So forensics is definitely important to do.
And that's one of the things that I actually personally need to do. I need to call my insurance company and see if I do have ransomware. But I'm going to explain how my systems work. And Anthony and I have talked about this, and I'd like to make it into a model for dental offices. I have probably about 18 to 20 computers in my office, and they're all separate nodes. There is no network, because everything is running off of the cloud. So let's say
Well, yes and no, it's separate.
Okay.
They could still potentially communicate, right, with each other.
No, I actually turn on and off. And I explained to you how I do it. So I do have, yes, they are communicating, but it's, the reason I say they're separate nodes is because I don't have any data that is shared between the two, meaning that
Okay.
I'm not accessing data from one computer to another. So
Right.
if one computer, let's say my office manager's computer gets compromised, I have a clean image of each computer stored, and within probably 15 minutes, I wipe that computer and we're back on going. It hasn't happened because I kind of teach my staff on a monthly basis what to do and what not to do. However, now my dental data is secured by one of the bigger companies that we trust, hopefully, and my personal data is not on these computers. In other words, I don't have Quicken or things like that. It's not in the office. It's in the cloud also. So if we can do that and add a firewall, like a Fortinet that you were talking about, into the office, create the antivirus and anti-ransomware and the monitoring that you're talking about, you should be able to sleep tight at night.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I tell my clients, they sleep at night. They don't have to worry about this because they know that I've got them covered on this. They're not going to get hit. Now, like I said, nothing's 100%, but we do our best to minimize the footprint of attack to as small as possible. We put so many layers in front of those cyber criminals that they're going to give up. We're hoping that they're going to give up and move on to something easier. And that's the whole point. You want to put as many layers between your data and the cyber criminal as you can to prevent, to have them just get frustrated, because they're looking for easy hits, right? They're looking for that low-hanging fruit. They don't really want to have to work to get to your data. So if you secure it, you put enough layers in, they're not going to really try. I mean, yeah, state-sponsored government, state-sponsored cyber criminals, yeah, those guys, they try, but they're going after government entities. They're not going after, dental practices, medical practices. They're trying to hit like electrical grids and, things like that. So and they're working hard, you know, to do that. But you know, the common cyber criminal that's looking for data and to make a ransomware score, they're not gonna, you know, they're looking for that low hanging fruit.
Yeah, they're looking for $10,000-15,000 a day, and that can actually be a nice living for them.
Oh, totally. Yep.
Yeah, and it's kind of like you know, the car thief going down the street and see that everybody has one of these low jacks on their wheels. They're not going to do that. They're going to go to the one that doesn't have it, basically.
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
Okay, so Anthony, we're going to talk about that later on as far as the plan you're going to have for the cloud people. Anthony and I have worked something up, and I will print it and I put it on the thing. So, and Anthony's information is in our index post. And if anybody wants to, you do a little free consultation for them, right? To evaluate their,
you know, 10-15 minute discussion about their, you know, even an hour discussion if they want about their current environment, you know, what's going on, and you know, gladly try to help them out. You know, I know I've helped a couple of your moderators, you know, with some of their stuff, you know, that they had questions with. So, you know, I'm always available.
Yeah, and you'll also, I know that you also offer to analyze their system and see if their IT is doing what they're supposed to.
We do. We've done pen tests for people as well, and you know, we've typically found, you know, passwords, user account passwords to both their Windows login as well as their cloud login. You know, so those are things that, you know, they need to address, and you know, and it shows like how easy it was to compromise those passwords because they're not complex. You know, they're using very easy passwords that pretty much, you know, any program can pretty much access or figure out.
Yeah, I wanted this to be a 15-minute talk, and I think we've been talking for an hour, but it's fine. But so the final message I want to give people here is to understand that they are coming for us. This is not a, you know, oh, it's not going to happen to me type of thing, because they know that dentists need their data. And if they lock it, they're going to get it back. If you don't have your ledger, your account, your x-rays that are digital, they know we're going to pay. I'm going to pay personally. If they get my data, if it's going to cost me $25,000, yes, I have to pay it. What else am I going to do? So prevention is the name of the game. Please take this seriously. This is not, you know, we're not selling anything. We're not trying to sell. This is something for educational purposes. And I trust Anthony. Otherwise, I wouldn't bring him as a sponsor to our group. Anthony, do you have any other thoughts that you want to go over?
No, I mean, I just want to, I could tell you stories, and I'd love to do it on maybe another call, and even bring a couple of my clients in to tell them about, you know, what happened to them and, you know, how they feel now, you know, so your group can get a feel for that this stuff really does happen, and it's not, you know, it's not like not going to happen to them. I mean, I have a client that we acquired because they got hit, you know, 4 computers in that office, you know, really small practice, and they never thought it would happen, but it did, you know. So it doesn't matter. They don't care how small or big you are. They just want your data. They could care less how big or small you are, you know.
Yeah. Okay, thank you very much. Happy Super Bowl day tomorrow, and we will talk later.
Yep.
Okay.
Thank you, Doc.
Thank you. Let me stop the Facebook. There we go. Let me stop the